Hey everybody, happy Thursday. Get in the car, head to the office. Thursday's always our meeting days, so got a lot of time this morning. We do meetings and trainings and all of the goodies. All right, person's gonna let me in. I appreciate that. But boy, do I have some stuff to talk about. Did a good video yesterday, and I kind of mentioned where I was going to do this video, yeah, so I want to just jump right into it. Rates are back up. It sucks. Rates are kind of high sixes. That's not good for anyone. No one in real estate, from the people who make money off of the closing, to the people buying and selling, no one benefits, really benefits, from high mortgage rates, and they're back up. So in March, the mortgage rates hit like 5.99. I remember seeing it on my little mortgage app. I think it's called like maybe Mortgage News or something like that I look at daily. And sure enough, I was like, holy crap, rates hit 5.99. Pretty sure I did a video on it. If not, I definitely did a post on it. I hadn't seen that since 2022. So I talked about, record lows in the last 4 years. It was a good sign for right in time for the spring market rush. It was going to be the best spring that we've seen since 2022. And it arguably has, as far as activity. Now we'll have to see when the data comes out, as far as how it compares. But definitely it felt like it here in Knoxville. At least from the buyers and sellers we were working with, it definitely felt like things were rolling. And then here comes this dang war. I don't care how you feel about it, like it, don't care. I'm going to talk about how it impacts this stuff. So obviously it impacted gas and oil. And when you impact oil, dang, I would encourage you to go and watch a YouTube video on everything that is used, or everything that is made that involves oil. And it's not just like our gas prices per se and the cost of transportation. Oil is in everything. It's wild. I had no clue. Like literally everything is made with, some different type of oil in it. So obviously that's impacted, right? And things have skyrocketed. We were able to kind of maintain, right? Stock market was not been scared of the war, or it isn't right now, at least. Record highs there. So it's typically a good sign. And mortgage rates were kind of holding low sixes there for the most part. But unfortunately, they just released inflation numbers. And without kind of boring you to death, inflation numbers kind of jumped up, which probably was expected with the war and gas and oil prices, right? That's a product of it. And because of that, the new Fed chair that comes in tomorrow, I think he gets sworn in tomorrow, I'm pretty sure. They don't meet until mid-June though, so he's not going to come in and do anything until mid-June. So that does give us, or it gives, a little bit of time to maybe get out of this war and things to kind of drop down and recoup. But I'm pretty sure, the plan was this was going to be Trump's guy, and Trump's a real estate guy. It's arguably how he's made his billions involved in real estate. And so, he's said it publicly a bunch of times, once rates lowered. Now, this guy doesn't have to listen to Trump, doesn't have to, but I'm sure, the philosophy of what they both think is beneficial to the economy is why Trump nominated this guy. So you would think he would be a very pro-real estate, come in and drop the Fed rate, which again does not directly affect mortgage rates, but it does impact them along with, tons of other things. But with inflation going up, when inflation goes up, the Fed has to raise rates to control inflation. Otherwise, people keep borrowing money, spending money, and then again, it drives it up. Again, I'm not going to pretend I'm so economist. I couldn't say that word yesterday. Oh, I don't even know if I said it right there. It feels like I did say it wrong. But that's an impact, right? So when inflation is up, rates got to be up. When inflation is down, rates can be down. And that was Trump's big argument over the last, let's just say year, was inflation was down to very good, controllable numbers where they want it, and the Fed wasn't lowering rates. So it's like, what the heck? We got to lower rates, right? We got to generate some economy. We don't have an inflation problem. Well, now we do. So that means that rates might actually go up again. And if we see rates into the 7s, that is brutal because we are in peak season. And that's just going to go ahead and sideline. What's going to happen is you're going to have all these sellers who's been thinking, about buying in the last couple of years, just didn't want to take that 7% interest rate. I remember closing, and I can't remember if I think it was in March. I remember closing with a buyer that got a 5.25 interest rate. And that was, I'm pretty sure, again in March. 5.25 interest rate. Unbelievable interest rate. That buyer is coming out ahead on a $300,000 house compared to what interest rates are today. They have a payment saving of like $450 compared to a 5.25 to what it is now, which is like, I don't know, a 6.7, something like that. So a 1.5% higher. Yeah, on a $300,000 house, it's a good about $400 to $500 in savings. You imagine, again, the higher the price point, the much more it is in the savings. That's why I really do think the interest rates, it's your monthly payment you should be concerned about, not as much as what is the purchase price of the home. Because the higher rates are, well, the less buyers can afford. The lower rates are, the more buyers can afford. So it means prices kind of go up. So yeah, that's tough news. But basically, when you do simple math, from interest rates being at 6% in March, right? So 5.99, 6%. And again, you had plenty of government loan buyers and stuff, people working the system and shopping the lenders and letting them know they're being shopped. So lenders gut some of the stuff to be competitive, to give better rates. Buyers, just from going from 6 to basically 6.75 on a $300,000 house, lost $30,000 of buying power. So what's that? What does that mean, Stephen? What does that mean? They lost $30,000 buying power. So if their max budget in March was $300,000, and let's just say that was a monthly payment of $2,100 a month. Now, because of rates have went up, they can only buy a $270,000 home. And they're still paying $2,100 a month. The payment is exactly the same on a $270,000 and $300,000 house. So that's what I mean. They've lost nearly $30,000 of buying power just because of mortgage rates going up, which means that's not a good sign. So if you had a pre-approval back in March and you're like, oh yeah, I'm approved for $300,000, it doesn't mean you're pre-approved today for $300,000 at all, because that rate is not locked in. Most companies aren't going to lock your rate in until you go under contract, and they're going to lock it in there. But yeah, that's a pretty rough sign. I think talk to mortgage people; they're kind of more involved in what's the back end of treasury bonds and stuff like that the direction those are going, to really know if rates are going to go up or down. But from everything it's looking like me that I'm anticipating rates actually being higher in the next 30 days than they are today versus lower. Now we get out of this war stuff, that's a drastic change. That at this point is who knows what's going on, all right, with this war. It doesn't know if we're going to actually sign some sort of agreement, or if we're just going to, drop a couple bombs and end it, or if we're just going to keep negotiating in this hamster wheel that nothing ever gets done. I have a feeling that we're probably one of the two is going to happen here the next couple of weeks. I just can't see it lasting because the poll numbers and everything is very unfavorable for what's going on right now. So I think they got to do something one way or the other. And of course, there's going to be, somewhat consequences when they pick one way or the other. But that's where we are right now in the housing market. Buyers have lost $30,000 of buying power. So if you are a seller, and I did this in my video yesterday, you have to, or really want to be selling your house, you better be the best price home in your general area, within a mile or two or three. If you are not the best price home within a mile, 2 or 3 of your neighbor's going to sell their house, not you. There is about 3 sellers in our area for every 1 buyer. Nationally, we are at the highest seller to buyer. I think there's like almost 700,000 more sellers nationally than there are buyers. Crazy numbers. Our inventory here in the greater Knoxville area in our MLS is skyrocketing. If it keeps this pace, We should be probably by the end of June over 8,000 houses. And like every day at this point, we're just continuing to set records on new inventory. There's only about 70 to 80 homes a day on average going pending, 70 to 80 a day going pending in our MLS. We have 7,400 homes. I talked about this in my video yesterday a lot more in detail, but that simple math says that's only 1% of all homes listed. However, at the same time, there is about 125 homes or more getting listed every day. So their inventory is growing, right? And then of that, I think it's like 150 homes every day that are lowering their price. There's more homes every day lowering the price than there are new listings. That tells you those sellers are motivated. If nothing drastic happens, and if we were to stay the course of what we're on right now, and I will say this, I do think something happens. And we do get a positive spin on this. When? Don't know. But I can't imagine that they just keep going this course, and the real estate market's just going to get absolutely destroyed. But if nothing drastic does happen, and you as a seller aren't out of your home and sold it probably by the end of September, I think we may be in the worst sellers market since probably your, arguably housing market crash timeline. So what, 2008 to probably 2012 or 13, something like that's probably the timeline. If you're not, you're going to be stuck in a really, really bad situation. Again, I really do think something drastic will change. Don't know what, don't know when. But by the end of the year, you have the new Fed chair coming in, that could shake things up and do some stuff that, is above my experience and understanding of what all they can or can't do to help. I know they're looking at government policies. I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of the government getting involved with any policies, just because there's, as we know, everything's just fraud and crap, and it sounds good and looks good on paper when they're saying they're going to help somebody, but at the end of the day, the money never makes it to the people, and that it should be helping, or there's crooks and people take advantage of it. So I'm not really big on the government trying to get involved in necessarily helping. Yeah, tough stuff. I will say for buyers though, right? Other than brand new listings, you should be out there negotiating pretty heavy, getting your closing costs paid. I'm not going to say that every seller is reasonable and understanding of the market and what they need to do to sell their house, because you're going to have just people out there that are just stubborn, or they're doing the make me move price. But buyers, you should be negotiating hard. It's only going to get better for you every single day, with rates being high in this market. And of course, again, you can always refinance. I'm not one of those people that says, marry the home and date the rate, marry the home. I think that's honestly a pretty crap and bogus statement. That people say that, like, you don't need to be buying a home and being house poor, even with the rates. Because as I said it last year, if you go back and look at tons of videos, right now, this time, I would not have guessed rates would have been high sixes. We are in high sixes. That shows you what I know, shows you what other people know. I was saying rates are going to be down. We should be into the fives, especially when the new Fed chair changes. And it doesn't look like, with inflation in this war, it doesn't look like fives is even a possibility for 2026. So there we go. I'll do another video whenever I have more news and some kind of update, but that's kind of current situation of it. Buyers are just getting beat up by rates, and sellers are getting beat up by buyers. If y'all ever have questions, holler anytime.